Welcome everybody to Beer, Pizza and a Movie. Harry has let me do the opening line today without having had a joke pre-prepared. So I get to do the welcome everybody, which I'm quite excited about. And that was it.
So no joke?
No, I can't think of one.
Oh, boring.
No, because I don't know this movie very well.
No.
And I can't think of any pun on any of the words in the name.
Okay, well, tell you what, before we talk about the movie, that we haven't seen yet, because there's not much to say, little bits of news and stuff.
Ooh, news. I have no idea what is the news at the moment.
Star Trek TV series.
Oh, another one.
Yeah, Star Trek. Well, there hasn't been one since 2005.
Oh, it was terrible.
Well, it was cancelled for a reason.
That's true. It was awful. Way to ruin the franchise, Becula.
So, yeah, what do you think to a Star Trek TV show coming January next year?
I think I might watch it. I've watched a couple of episodes here and there of Star Trek, but it's been far too dense for me to get into.
Yeah.
A new TV series done well could be really good. I mean, there's 1,000 episodes of what's already gone before. There's no way I can get into that. But a new one,
I mean, I
might enjoy that.
You don't need to watch all of it.
I watched Battlestar Galactica a few years ago, and even though I really enjoyed it, I kind of wish I hadn't.
The difficult thing with trying to get into Star Trek is the first season of every series of Star Trek is just a little bit off.
Really?
Yeah. Hence the term growing its beard.
Oh, that's true. Yes, that's where it came from.
Which, without knowing Star Trek, you do actually.
I am familiar with the growing the beard. It is the opposite of the shark jumping moment.
What's that?
To jump the shark is when a TV series takes a massive nosedive in quality.
Right. Where's that from?
It is from Happy Days, in which an episode aired where Fonz literally jumped over a shark on some water skis.
Wow.
Yeah. And apparently after that, it was total rubbish.
Oh.
So now the shark jumping moment is when a TV series takes a massive nosedive.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah. So it's literal as well as growing the beard, named after Riker's beard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which didn't that appear overnight? Didn't that appear in one episode?
No. It appeared over one season.
Right.
Well, not like it took that long to grow. Just
between seasons.
Between seasons, it turned up.
Interesting. Yes. Where is the Star Trek TV show set? Is it set as a remake of the first one?
There's very little that we know.
Right.
They say it's not connected to the current run of films, which is good. But also, that means they're just saying we don't have Chris Pine and Zachary Quinto doing a TV show. Which I don't think would work. I don't want it to be running concurrently with the current films. What I want is a Star Trek TV show that is set after all current Star Trek continuity.
Yes, set it in the far, far future.
Yeah, because that's one thing that annoys me about the new films is that they're doing as much sort of futuristic stuff as they can without doing anything more futuristic than what the TV show's covered.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because they can't go any further forward than that because the canon's been set.
Yeah, so they can't do like holograms properly.
No, that's true.
Whereas in a TV show, in episodes, people didn't know they were in a holodeck.
Yes, that's true. But that only comes in...
Always made for good plots.
Yeah, that only comes in Next Gen, doesn't it?
I think so, yeah.
The holodeck.
Well, Star Trek.
Yeah, well, in the first Star Trek movie, they didn't have tractor beams, did they? They had magnetic grapples. No, that was an Enterprise.
Ah, okay.
In Enterprise, because it was the Vulcans that taught them how to make tractor beams.
Yeah.
Which is very clever.
But yeah, so I'm excited for a new TV show. I basically want it to be the same sort of thing as Next Generation and Voyager, which are the two that I've seen, but just, with modern scripting and modern graphics.
I think it could be good.
But I want it to be exactly like that, the exact same style of plots.
Yeah, a continuity rather than a reboot, I'd be happy with, and I think I'd enjoy.
Yeah. Well, they can't really reboot. Like, they wouldn't reboot Next Generation because everybody's so dear to that, and all the actors are still capable of doing it.
Yes, but look at everything else everyone's really dear to that they're rebooting and largely ruining.
It's doing pretty goddamn well. Beauty and the Beast, they launched their teaser trailer the other day. It is it's the most viewed trailer in the first 24 hours of all time.
Interesting. Well, I'm thinking more like Ghostbusters, actually. The most hated movie trailer of all time.
Yeah.
So, sometimes reboots work. Jungle Book apparently was very good. I haven't seen it. But doing a live-action version of a classic animation is something that can be done and can be done well.
Yeah, I think Alice in Wonderland worked pretty well.
Yeah, I haven't actually seen that one either. The new one's coming out though. I'm quite excited to see both together. Maybe
we could do an episode on
we
that.
could do an episode on that.
Yeah.
Speaking as someone who's read the book, both of the books, that might be an interesting one to go see. The Disney movie doesn't follow the book very much at all. It's got a few elements of it.
Yeah.
But, so many people think they understand Alice in Wonderland, and so many people don't realise that it's not even called Alice in Wonderland.
What's it called?
It's Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. That's the name of the book.
Well, I'm only going, because that's not what I've heard, and I've grown up with something else.
Yeah.
And now you're telling me that what I've grown up with is wrong, and so,
Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Alice Through the Looking Glass. Or it might be just Through the Looking Glass, no Alice, for the sequel. I can't remember. Either way, Jabberwocky, the awesome poem, features in the second book, but most people think it features in the first.
Okay.
So there you go. Oh yeah, and the Red Queen, the whole off with their head stuff, pretty much doesn't come up in the book.
What else do you think Disney's going to do gritty reboots of? Gritty live-action reboots?
Gritty live-action reboot of Pinocchio.
Pinocchio.
God, that'd be terrifying.
Well, Avengers Age of Ultron was pretty much that. So.
That's true, it was. It was a gritty live-action Pinocchio.
Yeah, let's go on another one. Lion King? Or would that just be...
A gritty live-action reboot of Lion King. That'd be Hamlet.
Yeah, which would be, wouldn't it?
That's Hamlet. Okay, well, Lion King was a kid's retelling of Hamlet. Aladdin. Ooh, I'd watch
that would
Aladdin.
work really well.
That would be amazing. You know what else? Mulan.
Yeah.
Which is a very kind of similar in tone kind of a movie. Both of those would work really well in live action. Imagine the genie in CG. Motion cap CG. Genie.
Who would play the genie?
Oh, yeah. Oh, we've opened a can of worms there. No, you can't remake Aladdin.
No, you can. If you do it right, you can.
No one can play the genie. No one is allowed to play the genie. In the third,
what if they got a Robin Williams impersonator?
No, that would be even worse.
What do you think Robin Williams would want? Because I don't think that he'd want the character to die.
No, he wouldn't.
Did he do it? Did he do the sequels?
I think he did the first sequel, Return of Jafar, but he didn't do the second sequel, the third movie, Prince of Thieves.
That was it.
He didn't do that one. In fact, I don't even think he did Jafar. I'd have to look that one up.
Okay. But yeah, who do you think Robin Williams... Well, what do you think Robin Williams would want?
I think he would want the genie to live on, I think. I think he would want someone appropriate. In fact, if it weren't for the fact that Jim Carrey has gone completely off the rails, he might have been quite a good choice.
Yeah.
Mark Hamill, best voice actor in the universe.
Yeah, but can he do comedy, do you know?
That's a good question. He played the Joker.
That's not comedy.
That's basically comedy.
That's not comedy.
No, depends which Joker, I suppose. Yeah. Comments in the comments section, guys. Who should play the genie in the live-action reboot of Aladdin that Harry and I are going to produce and direct? In a universe where we have millions of pounds.
God, Aladdin
which is
would
not this universe.
Aladdin would be amazing.
I would so watch that movie.
Yeah,
that is probably my earliest memory of the cinema.
Like, actually, yeah, I think
for Aladdin,
been one of my favourite. I'm not going to say cinema because I wasn't alive, but
yeah, you weren't because you're only little.
Yeah, so like in principle, I'm against these gritty live action reboots, but if they did,
want to see Aladdin.
If they did Aladdin, I'd be all over that.
I want to see Mulan.
I think if they did Aladdin, it would potentially be one of the films that I'm like super excited about. Sort of films like Star Wars, like some of the final Harry Potters.
I think it'd be up there.
Like the first Avengers, like the ones that you are absolutely stoked for.
Yeah, I think I'd be up there. I'd be up there for that one.
Yeah.
Live action Aladdin. Live action Mulan would be good as well. In fact, actually, live action Mulan cleverly segues into what we're doing today, kind of. Because apparently this is rumoured
not set in America. Is that
right? Kind of, yeah. Well, neither was Aladdin, but it was set in the fictional city of Agrabah. But no, Mulan was apparently made to try and open up the Asian market for Disney.
Aladdin and Mulan would both be very good films to do live action of to stop whitewashing.
That's true. Actually cast people from those parts of the world.
Or would whitewash it and
ruin it completely.
Be massively told off.
Yes, they should do that properly.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mulan was made apparently partly to open up the Asian market. They were trying to build Disneyland in China at the time, and they tried making a movie that would get Chinese people and other Asian people to be on Disney's side, and I have no clue how well it worked.
Was it horrifically offensive?
It wasn't. I don't. Well,
I have no idea.
It wasn't horrifically offensive to me, but I'm not Asian.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was neither a rousing success nor wildly offensive. Mm-hmm. However, this is going back 15 years for Mulan, 10 years. I don't know how old Mulan is, but back then the sensibilities are very different to what they are now. For even just 15 years. So maybe if Mulan came out now, people would say, "Oh, that's horribly racist." It's difficult to say, but I don't think it worked. I don't think Disney has a huge market in China. Mm-hmm. However, Marvel Disney does very well in Asia, doesn't it?
I believe so, yeah.
So they do very well worldwide. So maybe the trick wasn't pander to foreign people by making films about them. Maybe it was make good films that everyone might enjoy.
Yeah, and I don't understand it because like their main character is Captain America.
And it somehow still works.
Like, think of that, Captain America.
Yeah.
Think if it was Captain Britain.
There is a Captain Britain.
I know.
And he's awful. Yeah, it's terrible. But that brings us on to something we talked about from our Star Wars review. Neither of us have seen that many foreign films. We haven't done a foreign film yet. Well, in the world stage, a British film counts as a foreign film. So we have done one. In the form of Trainspotting, but it's not foreign to us, and we're not counting American films as foreign films, even though they are foreign to us.
We should say foreign language film.
Yes, foreign language film.
Because like we do watch foreign films all the time, films that are just made in a different country, like Mad Max is Australian.
That's true.
So we should just say foreign language.
We should say foreign language film. So that's what we're going to watch.
Yeah.
And it turns out I have actually seen more foreign films than I thought.
So this one that we've picked is a request from one of our listeners.
Yes, thank you very much. Who actually requested this one? I can't remember.
I believe it was John.
Yes, thank you, John, for the request. I think he gave us a list of about 9 movies, and we picked this one out.
Yeah.
It's got a score of 93 on Rotten Tomatoes,
which is
puts
incredible.
It above Avengers Assemble.
Yeah,
I'm quite interested in that, for sure. So we're going to watch Run, Lola, Run today, but I would like to have a quick rundown of all the foreign films I've ever watched. It's not very many. So Harry's seen none, so he has nothing to say.
I've seen foreign film. I've seen Pan's Labyrinth.
Okay, let's talk about Pan's Labyrinth for 1 minute. Is it good?
Yeah, it is. I think. I don't know. I didn't really understand what was going on.
I don't think I did either.
I think
at the
time I watched it, the film was sort of beyond me.
Yeah. Well, I made a note of all the films I've seen and the year and the country they came from. Pan's Labyrinth was 2006 from Spain, and I remember watching it being aware that it was a sort of Jim Henson style creature shop kind of a thing, and it had lovely monsters in it. And also it has the word labyrinth in it. And I was thinking, is this similar to Labyrinth?
I think I was the same.
And it's not,
no, it's
ladies and gentlemen. At one point, a Nazi smashes someone's face in with a bottle. That was the point where I realised this was not a children's film about goblins. So yeah, it's wonderfully terrifying, and it is almost certainly a massive drug trip. Or possibly someone trying to escape to an imaginary world to escape the horrors of people being smashed in with bottles by Nazis.
Yeah.
It's a really good film. I highly recommend it. Other films, you've seen Amélie as well. That was
I haven't seen it. You have.
Oh, you've not seen Amélie. Right. Amélie is a 2001 French film. Really quite good. I enjoyed it. It's very, very far from my usual kind of film.
I think it won Best Foreign Film in the Oscars.
Yep, wouldn't surprise me. It is so far from what I normally watch, but I really enjoyed this one. It's kind of weird. It's very sort of first-person perspective kind of thing. It follows Amélie very, very closely. I think she narrates quite a lot of it, which is very cool. And yeah, she's just sort of. The film is carried on by her interesting character and her characterization. And yeah, again, highly recommended. It's entirely possible, actually, that I've seen several foreign films that I'm not going to recommend and have subsequently forgotten them. So I'm not going to talk about terrible ones.
Yeah.
One of my favourite films of all time is a foreign film. Leon.
Oh, yeah,
Le Professionnel.
Oh, yeah.
Which is why, when you said foreign language film, I was thinking, ooh, interesting point.
It's not all in a foreign language.
Exactly. It is a French film in English.
Yeah.
It was 1994. It is Natalie Portman and what's his name? I've forgotten his name now. Luc Besson directed it. What's the name of the actor?
Jean Reno?
Jean Reno, that's the one. Jean Reno as an assassin who meets...
And Gary Oldman.
And Gary Oldman, of course, yes.
One of his standout roles.
One of his standout roles.
Let's be honest, though. every role is a standout role with Gary Oldman.
Every role is a standout role for Gary Oldman.
It's like Johnny Depp. Every role is a standout role.
Well, I could talk a lot about Johnny Depp.
Well, I mean, like,
but I won't.
Opinions aside, all his roles are standout roles. Like, you would call it a Johnny Depp film.
I would call it a Johnny Depp film. I wouldn't say that was a good thing or not.
No.
Ever since he played Jack Sparrow, he's been playing Jack Sparrow again in different makeup.
It's really annoying, isn't it?
That's all he's ever done since Jack Sparrow. He found a formula then, and that's all he's done.
And also, his personality in real life is the complete opposite.
Yes, he looks very boring in interviews, doesn't he?
Sounds really boring. He is just...
Yeah. But, Leon, very good film. Natalie Portman's first role, I think. And she absolutely nails it. She must have been, 10 when she was in this film?
I think she was 12, but yeah.
Yeah. So, I think she does a very good job of being very emotive with only a plant to talk to at certain points. That was very good. And other than those three, the only other foreign films I've seen are martial arts movies. So, Here we go.
No.
Ip Man, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, House of Flying Daggers, Ong Bak, Warrior King, and The Raid. Standouts in there. Ong Bak and Warrior King are both films from Thailand, 2003 and 2005 respectively. Tony Jaa, who is a Muay Thai expert and part-time actor, absolutely crushes it in the main role.
Yeah.
Does a lot of elbowing people in the head. But this is... Okay, so, where was I?
Yeah, sorry, the microphone stopped there for some reason, don't know why.
We know exactly why. We're recording on a phone, and somebody phoned the phone.
Yeah, bloody people.
Yeah, exactly. I was talking to a friend of mine recently who was in the middle of a performance on stage, playing music through her phone, through the speaker system, and her mum rang her.
Wow.
So her mum's voice came through the speaker system to this entire cabaret audience.
I nearly did that with you once, actually. You called me, and I was playing music at the Ladybird Cabaret, and I just answered it on speakerphone, and you were just live to the whole of Beat Herder.
Yes, that was brilliant. I remember that. So yes, I was talking about Ong Bak. In Ong Bak...
By the way, the pizzas are ready.
Pizzas are ready. Alright, so we need to finish up quite quickly.
Yeah.
Ong Bak is a film in which Tony Jaa's village suffers a theft of an important statue. And Tony Jaa goes around elbowing people in the head until he gets it back. In Warrior King, which has... Well, actually, both of these films have several alternate names. But in Warrior King, Tony Jaa's village suffers the theft of an elephant, and Tony Jaa elbows people in the head until he gets it back.
Wow.
But I don't care. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
Both of those films are great. I can't tell you the difference in the storylines, except for what I just did.
Yeah.
And they're both wonderful. A good example of, well, not quite, it was a spiritual sequel. I think technically Tony Jaa played a different character in both. It was a kind of, a bit like the Man with No Name trilogy or the Spaghetti Western trilogy for Clint Eastwood. Different characters, but basically still the same character.
Yeah.
But yes, the other one to recommend is Ip Man with Donnie Yen, the story of the guy who created Wing Chun, who taught Bruce Lee. Very, very good film there. Semi-autobiographical, semi-documentary. And finally, I want to talk about The Raid, an Indonesian film from 2011. Oh, it's wonderful. If you've seen the Dread with Carl Urban...
Judge Dredd.
No, Dread.
Is it not Judge Dredd?
No, Carl Urban's one is just called Dread. The more recent one.
Yeah.
It's set almost entirely inside one building, is Dread. And this is also true for The Raid. Both of them have this great thing about movies, which I love when I see it. A movie whose timeline is pretty much exactly the length of the movie.
Yeah.
I love that. From credits to end, you see everything that happens. And the duration of the movie is the length of the movie.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So The Raid does that very well.
Yeah.
It's a group of SWAT team working their way through a building which is controlled by a drug cartel, and lots of people get elbowed in the head.
Sounds like the same plot.
To Dread?
Yeah, I think it's the same plot and came out in the same year, I think it
did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Dread did a lot better because it was more of a blockbuster.
It was also in English. That helps Dread out. It also has the name. But in my opinion, The Raid was a better movie.
Yeah.
However, this comes with a recommendation to not watch The Raid 2. I did, about a week after I watched The Raid.
Yeah.
This was only this year, so I was a few years behind on when they came out. But The Raid 2 is a movie that spans something like 15 years, in spite of the fact that none of the characters age. It is wildly incomprehensible. There are things going on that I'm pretty sure they don't tell you about. And the martial arts scenes are still filmed very well. It still has the same quality of filming and that kind of thing, scene to scene.
Mm-hmm.
But the movie itself is an incomprehensible mess.
That's a shame.
Yeah. It has got one of my favourite shots in all of cinema, where they actually feed a camera through a moving car in order to get one long continuous shot. Mm-hmm. So the camera is passed between different cameramen as they pass it through a car and out the other side of a car.
Brilliant.
That is great.
Yeah.
But everything that made The Raid good, a tight, controlled storyline in a small space, in a small time frame, which is very easily understood, and is just a nice frame for the action. Raid 2 smashed all that to pieces and made it incomprehensible, gigantic, and convoluted, which is a bit of a shame, because The Raid was so good. Incidentally, Ip Man has sequels that I've not seen, but given that Ip Man told most of the life story of a guy, I don't know what Ip Man 2 is about.
Okay. Right, well, let's wrap this up before we burn our pizzas.
Yes. Tell us in the comments your favourite foreign language films. I'd be interested to hear. Yeah,
get us on Facebook, Beer, Pizza and a Movie, or Twitter, Beer, Pizza, Movie. And we'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah. Now we're going to get our pizzas out of the oven and talk about them, while also watching Run, Lola, Run, which neither of us know pretty much anything about.
Yeah, nothing at all.
That's going to be interesting.
Awesome. All right. See you in a bit.
Hello.
What do you think of that?
That was really good.
Run, Lola, Run. That was a really good recommendation. Thank you, John.
I really don't... I'm going to struggle to say much about this movie at all.
Well, yeah, so let's do no spoilers first.
Yeah. It was really good. Right, moving on to spoilers.
Well, no, this is a film I highly recommend. I really enjoyed that, and so I recommend to all our listeners, watch it if you haven't already.
Yeah, but I don't think...
And so that's why I don't want to talk about spoilers for a bit. I want to try and talk about
say
as many good things as possible about it.
I want to recommend this, but I would also recommend not knowing much about it when you see it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So we can't really talk about it much.
Well, okay, let's think. What do you think?
Let's talk about pizza and beer first.
Sure. Pizza and beer. Well, we burnt the pizza because we were talking too... Well, Ross was talking too much.
Shut up. No, we didn't... The pizza was slightly overdone.
It was overdone.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Nonetheless.
So... Oh, that's you getting a phone call.
That's me getting a phone call. Gosh, we're popular.
Who is it? Who is it?
It's a gig thing. Go away. It was work. I'll call them back later.
Sure.
All right. Yes. So the pizza, homemade, better than bought ones.
Yeah.
Slightly overdone.
Yeah.
Quite delicious.
Yeah.
The beer. I was drinking Yorkshire Gold from the Leeds Brewery. Now, I think I've mentioned Leeds Brewery in the past as one I'm not a big fan of, but this one is very good. A light hoppy ale, a nice light 4%, and I really enjoyed it. It was a nice session beer, very smooth, very nice, a nice light ambery kind of ale. Very good.
Yeah, mine was good. I had a Bombardier.
I'm familiar with Bombardiers. They're good.
I really like Bombardier. My sister nearly had a barrel of Bombardier for her wedding. I was really disappointed that she didn't. It's good. How would I describe it? I'd describe it as damn tasty, rich and fruity English beer, really.
You literally read that off the label like I did for the light hoppy ale.
Alcohol 4.7% vol.
Yeah, exactly.
That was good. Good beer. Okay pizza.
Yeah. Maybe we should have had a foreign language beer. For this movie.
So much better, wouldn't it?
That would have been better, rather than a very local beer,
yeah,
and another reasonably quite local beer with an England flag on the bottle.
Oh, bloody hell!
Should have drunk German beer, really, shouldn't we?
Yeah.
It's not like Germany hasn't got loads of good beer to choose from.
You had German beer last podcast.
That's true. We did.
Wheat beer, didn't we?
Yes, we were drinking Hogarten, which I think is actually Belgian.
Hogarten. Well, I was drinking Weissbier, which is.
That was German.
Yeah.
Wait, that might have been Austrian.
And I was drinking it a lot in Austria, but I think it's German.
Ah, right. Either way, Germany, Austria, and Belgium all have very good beers, and we could have definitely chosen a European beer today. Oh well, never mind. Missed an opportunity there.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Also, they were in a different country in this film. There was one bit where they said we crossed the border. It was like quite near.
Yes, that's true. But they could just be in a city They could be in Germany for most of it, cross the border briefly, and then come back again.
They didn't really say where it was.
Yeah. Free movement in the EU of EU citizens. It's pretty, you can cross borders a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. For our American listeners, just so you know, in Europe we have lots more countries and you can cross borders easily.
Although that might change soon.
That might change soon depending on whether or not you build a wall.
Well, no, I mean whether...
whether or not we remain in the EU.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's also
true. Do you want to get into
that? Very briefly, I think we should stay in the EU.
Yeah, me too.
Alright, moving on. If you want to have a political debate, mention it in the comments. But this is not a political podcast. This is a podcast about movies.
Yeah.
So, Run Lola Run non-spoiler chat. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah.
I found it was really choppy and fast-paced, and I liked it.
Very fast-paced. Like, I had a phone call in the middle of it from my dad, and I just had to say, "I'm sorry, Dad, I've got to go. I'm in a rush."
Yeah, yeah. I felt like we were in a rush for the entire runtime of that movie.
Yeah. It was really good. So Rotten Tomatoes gave it 93%. You said.
Yeah.
Do you think that's deserved?
I think it is.
Do you think it's 1% better than Avengers?
It's difficult to say.
It is.
It's difficult to make a comparison at that level.
They're very different films.
It's very different. I think it's comparing apples and oranges with that one.
Mm-hmm.
Which one would I watch again? I can see myself watching Avengers more often in my life than rewatching Run Lola Run.
This is the sort of film that I want to leave for a few years until I forget about it.
Yeah. I feel like we can do our review, our rating system right now. Yes, I would watch this again.
Yes, I would watch it again. Would you pay to see it in the cinema again?
I think if
not again, but would you pay to see it in the cinema?
There are... If I spotted it come up as like a local picture house, as part of like a German film festival or something, as like a special retro movie kind of thing, I'd go see it in the cinema.
Yeah, I'd probably be the same.
I think the most important thing for rewatching this movie is I'd have to watch it, most crucially, I'd want to watch this movie with somebody who hasn't seen it yet.
Yeah, definitely.
I'd really enjoy that. So I can sort of introduce it to somebody else.
Yeah. And just sort of like question what they think is
happening. And just going in with, this is a great movie, you'll really enjoy it. What's it about? Not going to tell you.
Yeah.
Because I still don't know. I've watched it and I'm still not sure I can answer that question.
I think I'm there with it, I don't know.
Yeah.
But, so I'd say really, really amazing film. Highly recommend it. If you haven't seen it, watch it. It's only short, it's like an hour and a quarter.
Yeah. And also, we were talking before about the Raid and Dread both being self-contained within the time frame of the movie. Yeah. This movie is an hour and 15 minutes long, and the events of the movie take 20 minutes.
Yeah. It's good.
It's an ultimate example of this, where the movie is longer than the events of the movie.
Yeah.
Because this isn't a spoiler, I don't think. It shows the same 20 minutes of life over and over again.
Yeah.
3 times to show 3 alternate versions of what could happen.
Yeah.
And
I don't know if it's like one of them is... I think we should go from spoilers now.
Yes, that is... If you read in Wikipedia, it will probably tell you that much. But from here, we're going to be doing some spoilers. But I don't think we should be light on spoilers. Let's try not to do too much. Because even if you listen to the spoiler part of this podcast, we don't want you to have Run Lola Run spoiled.
I mean, this is the point where, if you're listening, you should tune out if you haven't watched it.
That is true.
But if you have watched it, John... Then,
hi John.
Do please carry on listening.
Yeah. All right. Spoilers from here. If you haven't seen Run Lola Run, go watch it and then listen to the rest of this podcast.
So it's repeated twice. There's three versions
of a 20-minute segment of time.
And do you think that any one of them is the real one, or they're just all the filmmaker? Just there's three alternates of the story.
I think it's 3 alternates.
Well, you say that, but then there's some connections in a little bit. Like, in the second one, she's learnt how to use the safety of a gun.
That's true.
She learns that in the first one.
That's weird. However, I know how to use the safety of a gun.
Yeah, but she didn't in the first one.
Oh, that's true. They did establish that. Well, maybe
I know. I think the way they did it
it seemed pretty implied that... Yeah, I said as soon as we started the second one that it was something like, has she imagined what could happen, and now she's going to go out and act it for real, like Sherlock Holmes fights.
Yeah. What do you think there's anything to do with, that scene where she's running downstairs and there's that great transition you like, and it's animated?
Yes, that was weird, but really good.
Is that something to do with that? Because that's when the change was. It was The first time she just ran past that man and his dog. Second time he tripped her over.
And the third time the dog growls and she growls back.
She jumped over.
Yeah, maybe that was the initial alternate version and everything else snowballs from there. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
I don't know what I don't think any one of them is the ultimate reality. I think they're all
I agree.
alternate versions. I do think it was very Guy Ritchie in the formation, I think, of it.
Yeah, it was
lots of like cutting of shots together and certainly the way the credits were done, introducing the characters with that kind of mugshot and a name combination.
So what do you think at the end when the credits went the wrong way?
That was weird.
Like they came down from
the credits rolled down from the top.
No, that's wrong.
No,
what are you doing?
Like, this film is all about doing stuff in a really weird way.
Bloody Germans.
So yeah, I think having the credits roll the other way is a nice little whoa moment. Why did we establish that that's the way credits go? Oh, right, because we read from the top. Yeah. All right, fine.
Do any languages read from the bottom?
I don't know of any languages that read from the bottom, but there are plenty that read from the right.
Yeah.
I think certain Middle Eastern languages, some Middle Eastern and further Eastern languages read from the right.
And then there's some Asian languages which read vertically.
Yes, they read down and then down first and then across.
They read in columns rather than rows.
Yes, which is why quite often certain dialects of Asian languages have vertical banners with the symbols going downwards rather than across. But then certain Asian languages have the ridiculously complicated symbols where they pile symbols on top of one another.
Oh my God.
To make more complicated symbols.
Wow.
Someone explained it to me briefly. Like there's certain simple symbols. Like there'll be a symbol for water and the symbol for movement, and if you put the symbol for water and the symbol for movement on top of each other, that is the symbol for river. For instance.
That's interesting.
And if you put water, salt, and stationary on top of each other, it's sea. So it means all words become composites of ideas.
Yeah.
Which is a very weird way of creating a language to my English eye. But it makes really good sense.
Yeah.
In a strange way. Kind of like a language designed entirely out of plain Pictionary.
I think it would be incredibly difficult to learn from English.
Yes.
Whereas I think, obviously if you learned it growing up, that's just what you'd know.
Yeah, exactly. But then English is very difficult to learn for everybody. Because we have one of the worst languages in the world.
Yeah. Although the most widely spoken.
Yeah, that's true. Not by most people, though. Chinese, I believe, is spoken by more people because there are literally more people in China.
But then English is the second language
of China.
Of China.
That's true.
And it is the international business language.
That is also true. And it's the language that French people make films in sometimes. Leon. So yes, back to Run Lola Run spoiler talk. I mean, one version of reality she dies, one version of reality the other guy dies, one version of reality is the good ending. And they get rich and both survive. Yeah. And a homeless guy has a gun. Homeless guy with a gun, that was a weird scene. Yeah. He trades money he robs the guy and then gives him the gun. It doesn't make any sense. And the guy subsequently doesn't rob him back, which is what I would have done. Like what you should have done is taken, I don't know what kind of gun it was, but taken the ammo clip out of the gun. And given it to him. Dropped the ammo clip on the floor. And then run away. And run away. That's what I did. Delay, but that way the homeless guy could have just pointed the gun at him and said, give me the money. Give me the money back. It reminded me of a scene from Blackadder, where Blackadder and Baldrick do a robbery together, and Blackadder says that we'll split the money 2 ways because we both did the robbery together. Then he points a gun at Baldrick and says, this robbery, however, I'm doing by myself. Give me all your money. And he takes all the money off him. And Baldrick says, well, that's totally fine. So long as I haven't been cheated, I'm okay with it. That's it. I just felt like that should have happened. That's really good. It reminded me of a scene in Doctor Who. There was one point where he runs in and he's pointing some kind of weapon at everybody. And he's just like, do as I say. And everybody's like, what? And he just hands somebody the gun. Just like, we're in the same boat here. Do as I say. There's also the one with the Daleks where he comes in, threatens the Daleks with what turns out to be a jammy dodger. Oh yeah, that was good. Oh, and Rick and Morty, high recommendation for watching Rick and Morty. At one point they're being attacked by a bunch of people and Rick throws a weapon at him which dissolves the guy or explodes him or something. And then he grabs another one and he's about to throw it. It's like, stay back. Hey, Morty, go get all their weapons. I only had one of those things I threw. This is a box of Tic Tacs. Rick and Morty, it's so good. Anyway, back to Run Lola Run again. So, yeah, I didn't know what was happening for quite a lot of this movie, but I was never bored. It was super choppy, but really well put together. Some really nice shots, some really good angles of cameras and clever little moments. I really like the little scenes we had where she bumps into someone and then we see their life story played out in 2.5 seconds.
In photographs, like, that was amazing.
Yeah.
And then how it changed
and alternate versions of it, like she's somehow some kind of butterfly effect to affect somebody else's life, whether she bumps into them or not, or what have you. Yeah, it was wonderful. Oh yeah, the cyclist guy, she knows that it's a stolen bike. This in the second one, because she presumably knew from the first one that he'd stolen the bike and was trying to sell it to her. That was, I can't, there's so much to talk about in this movie. It's so good.
It was really good. It's going to be nice when to just sort of like mull over for a few days.
Yeah, I think so. I would really like to see this again with someone who's never seen it.
But like a good while away.
I think I'll leave it a while.
Like to let some bits fade and then watch it again and be like, that bit happened.
Yeah.
I love films like that.
I mean, it may be that I'm conditioned by comic book movies, but I was reasonably sure she was gaining superpowers.
Yeah, you're definitely conditioned by comic book movies.
Yeah, but she can smash things with her brain.
With her scream.
Screams can't really do that.
Well, yeah, but it's not her brain. I was correcting you.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yes, there was just an element of sort of unrealism. It wasn't superpowers. It was just the director just doing something a little bit odd.
Yeah, yes, I suppose so.
Some films
do that. That is me being conditioned by Marvel to see superpowers everywhere because that's clever filmmaking to show an expression of something.
Not even clever, it was just weird.
It was weird filmmaking, let's go with that. Yeah. I am conditioned by Marvel movies, I suspect then. But yeah, that being said, Run Lola Run comes with a strong recommendation.
Very strong.
Very strong. I think it deserves that 93%.
Yeah,
Maybe we should do more foreign films because I feel like there's no way there's no way I would have watched Run Lola Run if I hadn't had this podcast going on and the inspiration to go watch a foreign film.
Well, was it even your inspiration? You said it was the Star Wars podcast. Did Paul Kelly say it?
I can't remember how we got to it. Whatever it was. No, I think it was someone else's idea that led to me being inspired to go see a foreign film.
And then it was John's recommendation on the podcast anyway.
So there's no way I'd have watched this film. Yeah. I was aware of this film. I had heard the name, but I didn't know anything else about it. And I don't think I'd ever have watched it. And I'm really glad I did. I feel like it's a bit of cinema. And not just a movie that I saw, but a piece of cinema, as it were.
So, highly recommended. But if you're still listening, you've probably already seen it. Hopefully,
because we're in the spoiler section.
So we recommend watching it again.
Watch it again with someone who hasn't seen it.
Introduce it to someone.
Yeah. Well, I think that about wraps up Run Lola Run.
Yes, it does.
Gosh, that was a lot of running. Yeah. Here's a question. Yeah. Before we fully wrap up, best actor.
Ooh.
Now, my thoughts were possibly Lola, because she's the only one who really has much screen time. I couldn't quite tell if she was an actor or a runner. Because I'm not an expert in running, but it looked to me like she was running efficiently and well. Athletic running rather than what I do when I run, which is to shamble marginally faster than usual.
Well, I think either you're a runner or you're not. Like, either you can run a distance or you can run about 20 metres and you're out of breath and you can't really run much more.
Yes, exactly. I mean,
whereas she seemed to sort of know what she was doing.
Exactly, she looked like she was running efficiently.
So I think that she's the sort of person who takes a jog every now and then.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, she could be a full-time actress who also runs.
She would train for the role. Like, if you're in a film called Run Lola Run,
you'd have to run some. Yeah. I think there's not much choice for best actress or best actor, and I think it's got to be Lola.
Yeah.
Because no one else really had a chance to do anything. Everyone else was bouncing off of her.
Yeah, he did a good job.
He had a bit of time.
You did a good job of looking anxious.
Yes, I did like the scenes in bed between those two that were intercut between the alternate realities. Actually, here's the thing that I spotted while watching it. They didn't do the L-shaped blanket.
Yeah.
Which I liked. They were really close in on the two of them. I don't think they ever did any cuts in those scenes. So it was the two of them laying next to each other in bed.
Yeah.
Just their two faces next to each other and a bit of shoulder, I think, is all you saw. It was lit in red.
Oh, you saw like the top half of their body. So you saw from like... Well,
Yeah, you saw...
above the nipple upwards.
You saw a couple of clavicles. A clavicle and a rib. But yeah, that's all you got. It was nice, tight in. It was dark but red.
Yeah.
Rather than the usual... if you see a romantic comedy scene like this, it's from way up and they repeatedly cut to shot, counter shot.
Oh, yeah.
And it drives me crazy. Yeah. This one was done really nicely, close in, talking about complete rubbish, in my opinion. But I was still enthralled by their chat, and I thought it was done really intensely, and it kind of showed the connection between those two that was not a romantic comedy connection. It seemed like it was like, I don't know, it actually reminded me a little bit of Natural Born Killers. Like any or a Bonnie and Clyde kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like any intense but arguably dysfunctional relationship between two people. But the feelings are clearly real, and I believed it. And so she's probably not a criminal, and he is a criminal, but that it clearly is working for them, and they have a good relationship together. And I bought all of that, and that scene really helped.
Yeah, but for a best actor, I'm split between the two. I can't really say.
Yeah, I don't think he had enough chance, so I'm calling Lola.
I think more on him. I think she was more sort of deadpan the whole time.
She did have a few good looks to camera. Yeah. Some good sort of smouldering or angry or, oh God, what am I going to do now?
I think he did a really good job of looking anxious.
That's true, he was very anxious.
Yeah.
Reminded me a bit of, what's his face from Breaking Bad?
Jesse?
Yeah. Aaron Paul. Yeah, it reminded me a bit of him. Just kind of...
No, I didn't get that.
I don't know, a little bit out of his depth. Kind of excitable, mostly anxious. Gets run over.
Yeah.
Pretty sure that Aaron Paul gets hit by a car at one point.
So, did her dad die at the end? Like, was that just sort of left ambiguous? That...
Yeah, in that reality, there was a car crash, and
the airbags didn't go off, and they were both shown to
the three guys in the other car did get up, so they did
get up, and their airbags didn't go off, and then these two, they were just both unconscious.
Yeah, it's possible. It's possible he died.
I don't think they would have died. I think that there's just some whiplash.
I think we've maintained ambiguity through this, and I think that that's what they were going for. Yeah. We still don't even know which reality is the real reality.
I don't. Yeah.
Is he her dad?
Yeah, that's true.
Still don't know that.
Yeah.
You know. So yes, we'll wrap that up with it's quite ambiguous.
It is very ambiguous.
Yeah. So
good recommendation.
Yes. Watch Run Lola Run.
So next week. We're going to be doing X-Men Apocalypse.
Yep.
Well, we're actually doing it this afternoon, but
the next episode will be X-Men Apocalypse. So we'll probably do a rundown before the movie of what we think of X-Men movies generally.
Yeah.
And then we'll get stuck in with X-Men Apocalypse.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to getting out to the cinema again.
Yeah, me too. So this was one of our first episodes based on somebody's recommendation, and went down pretty well, really, didn't it?
Yes, I don't think people will either recommend films they enjoy or films that they think we'll enjoy, or they will go entirely the other way and recommend films that they think are utterly atrocious.
That's what we've had in the pub, isn't it? Like, you should watch Sharknado. Like,
I don't want to watch Sharknado. I do think we should maybe do
the film Lobster or something. The Lobster that I think Paul Kelly's recommended. Like, it's a new film. Like, it'll be in the cinema, I think.
Yeah.
And it's got a lot of big actors in it.
Yeah,
so it is
I wonder if maybe we should do a sort of mini marathon of like 3 movies that are utterly terrible, like 3 movies with less than 10 on Rotten Tomatoes, maybe, and review those for a podcast. Yeah. I think that might be fun. Let us know in the comments if there are any utterly appalling movies that you think we should review.
Yeah,
I'd love to hear about that.
Well, let's not say that right now for a little marathon, because I know that I'm busy for the next few weekends.
Oh no, sometime in the future. I'm not saying next week. But next week.
So next week we're doing X-Men. The week after that, I think we should take another recommendation.
Yes, I'd love that.
You got any ideas for a theme?
A theme?
Like, is it just going to be a bad movie? Is it going to be another foreign movie? Is it going to be a movie with a female lead?
I don't know. Recommendation is something that's not come up in the podcast so far. So we've done.
Actually, it's May and June. I know there's a lot of films coming out in the cinema, so we're probably going to do another cinema one.
Yeah, there's a cinema one maybe. I'd like to go a little bit off genre from where we've been before. We've done a lot of comic book movies. We haven't done any straight up sci-fi yet, have we? I don't think we've talked about sci-fi yet. We also haven't done one of my favourite genres of movie, fantasy.
Fantasy, yeah.
We've been pretty heavy on the comic books. Oh, Star Wars. We did do a sci-fi.
It's fantasy. It's not sci-fi. I stand by it. It is not
sci-fan. Yeah.
It's not
space
sci-fi.
opera.
It's space opera.
Yeah. Maybe a gritty sci-fi.
If it's sci-fi, it needs to have science in it and more than just 12 parsecs.
That's true. Yeah. Why do they always round up?
It's fantasy.
That's fair.
Star Wars is fantasy.
It's fantasy set in space.
Star Trek is sci-fi.
I agree.
Well, actually, the recent films.
We have done pretty heavy on the comic books, so no comic book recommendations for next time. Something we've not done yet would be.
Oh, actually, no. The episode after X-Men, we might do our versus episode.
Oh, versus episode. Oh, more on that later.
Yeah, we'll do that. Okay, we'll talk about that in the next episode. Right, let's wrap this up because it's probably getting on a bit.
Okay, next week, X-Men Apocalypse.
Yeah, so thank you all for listening if you got this far through.
Thank you.
Please do get in touch with us, comments mainly. Get us on Facebook, Beer Pizza and a Movie. Get us on Twitter, Beer Pizza Movie. We'd love to hear from you. We really want to hear your recommendations for films. Might not be for a few weeks if we actually get to it, but yeah. We'll try and get some guests on the podcast as well because we want to one of them so far.
Yes, if you want a guest, let us know.
Yeah, we've had a few requests already, so
oh, good.
There's a waiting list.
There's a waiting list. Oh, good.
Although I don't think any of these people actually listen to the podcast, but I don't really mind. Well, I know that Paul Kelly doesn't listen, or didn't listen before Star Wars at least.
Well, that's fair.
But hey, I don't mind.
Yep. Let us know.
I'm not doing this for the listeners. I'm doing this for the fun.
That's a fair point.
Which
it's a good job.
I think is the right way to do it.
That's true.
It would be wrong to just be trying to please the listeners the whole time.
That's true. Maybe we should try and get some before we try and please them.
We've got John.
John listens. Hi, John. Shout out to John, our only listener.
Great. Okay, so we're going to go.
Yes. Thanks very much for listening, folks. Thanks very much for listening, John. Yeah. All right. See you next time.
See you next week.